So this is my scrapbook of looks from my virtual child. As a newborn, Lux had a normal birth. Labor was about 10 hours long, and I gave birth naturally. I was proud that my team, made use of natural childbirth breathing and relaxation techniques. According to my mom, Lex and I had very different kinds of birth. My mom had a scheduled C-section, so she was lucky enough to have no labor. So 12 to 18 months old, when Lux became upset, it got difficult to soothe her down. She sometimes would accept my embraces, but then sometimes she would push me away. She was able to digest new foods well, so we added a variety of foods into her diet during family dinners. Lux was cautious around new people and situations, but warmed up fairly quickly to friendly people and to new and interesting activities, and then began to vocalize a lot and make eye contact. Her motor skills were typical for her age, crawling, sitting up, and standing up, but she wasn't walking yet at this age. She studied things in her environment and performed simple little experiments with them, like pushing her bath toys under the water at various depths and watching how high they popped back up above the surface. According to my mom, I was a very easy baby. I rarely cried or got upset. If I did, it was easy for them to calm me down. I was a happy go lucky baby, interested in new people and situations. I started to walk around 15 months. My parenting approach was to be hands on with Lux, but to let her explore her environment and things as she pleased. I didn't push things on her that she didn't want to do or didn't want to try at this age. I think this impacted Lux's independence the most. She was able to figure out things on her own and also knowing I was right there with her at every moment. So, 3 years old, Lux began preschool and was very cooperative and friendly with both adults and children. She was able to focus on tasks and showed self confidence in novel situations. Lux was well liked by several children, made a lot of friends, and became the group leader in free play activities. Lux was above average in language comprehension and production, understanding relationships, counting skills, classifying objects, age appropriate reasoning tasks, and gross motor skills. Lux was below average in copying designs, solving picture puzzles, and building block towers. According to my mom, I went to a Montessori for my preschool years. I went early because I wanted to be with my sister. I was a very friendly kid and enjoyed fun activities with family and friends. I showed strength in everything that Lux did, but I excelled in puzzles, problem solving, and putting things together. My parenting approach was to continue being affectionate but firm on rules at home with Lux, helping her learn her boundaries. I took an indirect approach to working on her skills, like encouraging counting as part of a game that she enjoyed. I also allowed her to have play dates with her friends from time to time. 8 to 10 years old, Lex began taking piano lessons and enjoyed coming up with her own music. She also enjoyed dance and gymnastics. She loved helping me around the house and found enjoyment in doing her chores. She became an older sister and loved that role. We would go on family vacations with the kids and they enjoyed them so much. She was a very happy girl and loved hanging out with her family and friends. She continued to get along well with children at her age and adults in different situations while remaining cheerful and calm with things that came her way. If she ever became stressed, it didn't take her long to bounce back. Lux enjoyed working independently, but she always tried to include her classmates and friends whenever possible. She followed the rules both inside and outside of the home. We had Lux take the verbal portion of the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children, and she scored in the gifted range. Her teacher never reported any unusual problems with impulsivity, inattentiveness, or hyperactivity. When I was this age, I was also taking piano lessons and in dance and gymnastics. I was assigned chores and other things to do around the house that I had to do before doing other things. Just like Lux, I was a very happy girl and loved being with family and friends. We went on a lot of family vacations throughout my whole life, so I got to experience all kinds of unique things. I was an independent, intelligent girl, but not in the gifted range like Lux was. My parenting continued to be the same as before. I showed her warmth and affection at all times, but also taught her the importance of discipline and following the rules. I kept her to a schedule that she could easily follow, but I also let her explore things that she wanted to. I think this approach impacted her development in a positive way. 12 to 14 years old, Lux was nervous to start middle school and high school because she started to get more interested in her appearance. She loved hanging out with her friends, and I started to allow her to have summer parties with them. She continued to be a happy, calm, and cheerful girl. She wanted to get a summer job to earn some money, so we agreed to add more chores for the money. Lux would cause some trouble, like TPing a girl's house that she got in a fight with, but she was caught. We talked about what was wrong with the situation and the consequences, in which we agreed to less time with friends and more chores and housework. She started to get upset and cranky or gave me this silent treatment when we would discuss issues surrounding bedtime, chores, curfew, clothing choices, music choices, etc. But I knew that they weren't going to but I knew that we weren't going to get anywhere by continuing the discussion when she acted like that, so I would just drop it and let her calm down for a while before speaking to her again about it. Lux started to show an increase in liking boys, so her interest in her appearance grew even more. She even confided in me about her first crush on a boy. I wasn't worried about it too much because her grades were all A's and B's, but otherwise, besides all those little piddles, we got along pretty well. When I was this age, I started to do the same things Lux did. I wanted to hang out with friends more, and I became obsessed with my appearance and clothes. I was the same happy and friendly girl. I would also argue and become cranky with my parents, but just like I did for Lux, my parents also talked to me about everything and let me calm down before discussing issues. My grades were always A's and B's, so my parents didn't have to control that aspect of my life. My parenting was a supportive and approving kind. I was stricter compared to her friends' parents, but I kept an open end of communication with her, so there was nothing that she wouldn't understand as to why it happened this way. I allowed her to be independent and make her own decisions, even if it was something I wouldn't approve of, because that's a way for her to learn her boundaries and what is right and wrong. 16 to 18 years old, Lex became interested in helping the community, so I would let her volunteer at places. She got her driver's license on the first try, which made her extremely happy. She had a set group of friends that she always hung out with and continued to be outgoing and well liked by others. She had her first serious boyfriend, which would bring up new issues we would face as they came up. For instance, she got invited to a lot more parties, which she would sometimes break her curfew or underage drink at, but she always let me know if she was going to be late or she needed a ride home from the party due to drinking. Lux always took the challenging classes in school, like honors classes and AP classes. She kept up with her schoolwork, finishing her school years with all A's. Lux worked a part-time job at a grocery store, but wasn't very interested in working there for the rest of her life. She began to do research in colleges and prepared her applications. Her SAT scores were phenomenal, so I knew she wouldn't have any trouble getting into schools. She got accepted into several colleges, including a couple of very selective institutions. I let her decide on where she wanted to go, and she sent a letter of acceptance to a very good out-of-state school. Just like with Lux, high school brought on new challenges for both my parents and I. I did have a part-time job working at a grocery store just like Lux. I kept up with my schoolwork, graduating in the top 10%, but I was a social butterfly and outgoing. I had my first real long-term boyfriend throughout my whole high school years. He was 2 years older than me, so I went to a lot of parties with him. I dabbled in the underage drinking and partying, but my parents knew about it all. They kept an open relationship with me and allowed me to call them if I needed a ride or if I was going to be past my midnight curfew on the weekends. My parents never tried to push me in a certain way or push their opinions on me. They allowed me to learn about things through experience, all while letting me ask questions that sparked my curiosity. I got accepted into some colleges right out of high school and picked one that was about 30 minutes away from home. But obviously I ended up far away from my home, but I know I can still call on my parents for anything. My parenting continued to be open with her. I let Lux decide about friendships and relationships. I listened when she wanted to talk, and I made suggestions, but didn't try to push her to make any big changes. I showed an excellent balance between discipline and affection. Lux was close to both of us, but she tended to be a little closer to me. She would seek out my advice on important issues or questions that were beyond her experience. This kind of parenting had a positive impact on her. Thank you for listening.